Speaking of nothing, ladies and gentlemen, I give you we're back to Marjorie Taylor Greene. They attacked Chris Wray like it was brutal. Some of the shit they were like, the stuff that Matt Gaetz said to him is just fucking gross. And the weird part is, the weirdest part for me, anyways, is the fact that Trump appointed this fucking guy. He fired Comey and he put in Wray. This is Trump's guy. And it seems like what they're angry about more than anything is that Trump gave him a job and he didn't throw himself in front of the bus or something. Like he was expecting to hire a bunch of Roy Cohns, and he's disappointed that the guy he hired to do the job is doing the job. It's so like it's the only part of it that makes any fucking sense. Because the FBI, on top of dealing with January 6th, which is an enormous undertaking, one of the reasons why they had to have so many agents working on it is because they had so much fucking evidence. And any one of those people could have said, I was taken in there at gunpoint. All the things I said, just off frame for me, there was a guy with a gun in my ribs. Any of these thousands of people could have floated that. And unless they combed through all this fucking footage and the Facebook posts and all the other evidence, each one of these dickheads could, was going, there was a bunch of feds in there. They had a rifle in my side making me shove that bunch of cops back and squish them in the door and all that kind of stuff. So they had to go through all of it. The reason why it was one of the biggest investigations in American history is because there's the volume of evidence, not because of the event itself. I feel bad for these agents. Like, how many fucking times do you have to watch the myriad of places? Like, okay, yeah, he posted that video. He went live on Facebook, but he posted a video on Parler, and then he posted a photo on Getter and whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, they have to look through all that stuff. Each one of them has a case. These people are getting years. They're having to make a decision. Was this, trespassing and staying in a federal building past a certain point, even though they stepped over a beaten cop to get in the fucking door, which is an act of violence in my estimation. But then the rest of the folks that actually beat the cops up on the way in, that's how, they're talking about years and years in jail that these people are going to get. So obviously the cases are frigging enormous. Everybody's in everybody else's footage too. So of course it took a ton of people. And of course they pulled people off. And the people that they pulled off were people who weren't fucking helpful, weren't particularly good at stuff. They weren't villains necessarily at the time, but they were like, all right, we got 5 people on that. We only need 4. Friend, get over there and get on this. Go watch some fucking videos. That's what happened. It's super obvious. It's a ginormous undertaking. But it's, to them, it's the smoking gun because they only seem to pull patriots off of these other things and pro-Trump people. They pulled them from real cases and put them on Jan 6. Well, wouldn't that make it more likely that if there was a Jan 6er who was railroaded or not supposed to be in jail, they would have gotten a break? Maybe, just maybe, Wray, who was appointed by Trump, was pulling people who were sympathetic to Trump and putting them on the January 6th thing because they'd have more of an exculpatory attitude towards these dickheads. The problem they had was the mountain of evidence. They couldn't keep their fucking job and lie about what they saw on video. Hold on. Somebody was saying something about, wait 1 second. Do we have a taker in this? Hold on. Found out that Biden did for China. He voted in favor of the legislation that granted most favored nations trade status to China in the 70s and early 1980s. Yes, that was terrible of him, along with everybody else. Yes, he's as guilty as Nixon. By the way, totally different country at the time. So, yeah, excellent point. Thank you for bringing it up. Case closed. You're right. All right, so let me go to here. Now, so their attacks on Christopher Wray, and she's just talking about this because I don't think she was part of this. Well, we'll see. Anyways, this is her Rep Greene, this is exactly what Congress needed to see. She's on Eric Bolling's show, shitting
now
on the
let's
FBI.
bring in Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to assess today's hearing of FBI Director Christopher Wray. Congresswoman MTG, by the way. Congresswoman blown
away. Why is she? Because RBG and MTG and wow, it's such a branding.
I was blown away at the obfuscation. I was blown away at the FBI.
As obfuscation? I hate when obfuscation happens.
Congresswoman, blown away. I was blown away at the obfuscation.
I was, yeah. And how can you not?
Yeah, look. Christopher Columbus, Christopher, huh? When they gaze upon Yosemite,
I was blown away that the FBI could appear so un-American.
Fuck you. Could appear so un-American. Based on what? Please play a clip. Please bring, like, ugh, this motherfucker.
Are they un-American?
Are they un-American? Isn't it about time we have a new House Un-American Activities Committee just to go after the Federal Bureau of Investigation? You know, to grind everything to a halt as they stop, you know, drug traffickers, money launderers, and child pornographers, and fugitives, and you know, track down serial killers, and you know, and organized domestic terrorism and stuff. You know, let's put a big stop to that, because they have entered a phase where they are totally un-American because of a Trump appointee. Let's understand. This boils down to their problem with what happened to the FBI after Trump changed the leadership. Now, I think their criticisms are largely horseshit, but I'm also fascinated by the blind spot.
You know, what I was shocked at is how
all the big words.
Arrogant Chris Wray came across.
You were shocked at how arrogant he came across? You're kidding, right? As somebody who is professionally arrogant, I'll let you know, he was not being arrogant. He's sick of your shit. It's a natural reaction. Look around. You'll recognize the look in his eyes as following you everywhere in a crowd.
But then really, I think that's just more of who he is.
Yeah, that's why Trump picked him. What? Again, what? Hashtag the best people.
Because I still feel the sting of the slap in the face from Christopher Wray. That
he slapped you in the face? Nobody Britney's MTG.
Forced our oversight committee to read an unclassified document, a 1023 form, in a skiff in the...
Yeah, because of the details related to it and the fact that it was part of an ongoing investigation, not because it was classified based on the contents of what was going on. It's because and by the way, the investigation, for the record, is into the person who gave it to the FBI, who came in and said what they said. The criminal investigation that the FD 1023 is about is not the target of it, Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, but the person who said what they said, who lied to federal authorities via the FD 1023. And that investigation is ongoing.
Capitol. And then he redacted information, very important information, like the fact that there's 17 audio recordings.
Okay, if it's redacted, maybe it's redacted for a reason, fuckhead. Also, there aren't 17 recordings. There are not. The witness of the witness of the witness to witness X said that they believed the person had these things, or they heard that this person had said these things, and that they were going to save them till they were in a tight spot. And apparently, that there's not going to be a spot tight enough for them ever. Apparently, they're that small.
The oligarch that owns Burisma
no, doesn't own Burisma.
Has and possesses, and 15 of those are Hunter Biden's, but 2 of those are the current president of the United States, Joe Biden himself.
Allegedly, by the way, conversations of Biden and Poroshenko, which have already come out and don't have any crime in them. That, again, we've heard these tapes. That it's normal diplomacy. No one actually was like, oh shit, have you heard the Biden Poroshenko tapes?
So, I didn't hear anyone.
I didn't hear any evidence. Shit.
Ask the question. I mean, just point blank say why did you wait and make it so difficult for any of these whistleblowers to come forward? They held that document from your committee. In fact, I didn't really hear that, but I did hear this. I heard him talk about ridiculous things. Control.
Did you guys get all that? Why didn't somebody just go, why? Why did you hold back the FD 23? Because it's not germane to anything, and the person might actually find their way out of the charges because of dipshits like this saying what's in it and knowing that the case is coming their way and might, I don't know, flee the country or...
Go to the Christopher Wray admitting to paying social media companies $3 million taxpayer dollars to kill the Hunter story. Listen.
But it was the same agency paying $1 million to push one story out or try to collaborate one story and $3 million to quiet another story for political opponents. I don't quite understand.
When there are payments.
Oh, wait a minute. Was that a... So he asks a question or makes an allegation, and we're supposed to believe that Wray follows up immediately. This is a cut.
$1 million to quiet another story for political opponents. I don't quite understand.
When there are payments to social media companies, that is by longstanding federal law going back, I think, about 4 decades, where we have to pay companies for their costs in responding to legal process, and it's
$3 million to reimburse social media companies for their costs. They were leaning on these companies.
No, they weren't. And by the way, fuckhead, if they were leaning on them, then why did they ever say no? Why is it that we know through Matt Taibbi's bullshitting about the Twitter files, and boy, he's become a star.
The numbers should skyrocket downward.
He's just skyrocket in flight. Twitter files delight. We learned from Matt Taibbi, if we learned anything at all, that many times the FBI said, hey, check this out. Hey, do this. You should kick this person to the curb, or we think this is a fake account or whatever. And Twitter told them to go pound sand. So if they were leaning on them, did Twitter not lean back then or lean into it? Or just go, get off me, you're sweaty.
To not write that story.
The FBI shouldn't be paying employees to cover, or other companies, to cover up a crime.
They aren't. As a matter of fact, if they ask something of these companies, they cannot force them to engage in legal endeavors if they're not involved in a crime, for example. They're not prosecuting you over something. But if you have to use your legal team to go through some stuff or run through, and it's by request of the government that they acquiesce to, you got to reimburse them those costs. Because the government could literally just use its power of requesting information and scare companies into compliance that costs them so much money, you could put them out of fucking business. The thing is, she and Eric Bolling, it's abundantly clear neither one of them knows what they're asking for. What they're asking for is for the U.S., the federal government, and probably state and county as well, because I don't think they make any, bones about the difference between levels of government in this particular case, to be able to request information or, OSHA-like compliance around any kind of particular aspect of things, and that costs a company money, and it is on the company to spend that money to get into compliance, and immediately without any secondary law, because if you don't do this, you might violate a law. So you got to bring this up to, and through this particular thing of asking for specific information, asking them to gather information or show something because they are engaged in trying to stop a child sex trafficking ring or pornographers or any of these folks that are online doing stuff, or terrorists who are using the DM system of Twitter to engage in stuff. And the federal government goes, hey, we know this is happening because we got a mole and we've got a witness and other folks. And so this shit's happening. You guys might want to check this out. They go through that process. let's say the government is faking it all. They could literally put pressure on a company you go to a newspaper and you go, we believe the Unabomber has a friend and he's posting shit in your in your classified section. And we need you, like, you're going to have to now go, you're going to be culpable at some point. You'll be the, both to your customers and to the U.S. government if you allow this to go forward. We can't comb through your files without a warrant, but we're going to let you know that you might want to check this shit out. And you're going to need to let us know that, you're not helping them. We're going to, because we believe a crime is being committed. They don't even have to be genuine in doing this. And in doing it, they could literally bleed a company dry. They could force you to go through every file you have, get your accountants to go over every number, get your lawyers to comb through contracts and filings that people have put in to make sure that you're not participating actively in this with sort of this generic threat that if it happens, it's your ass and we're going to come for you. So to stop that from happening, there is a provision where if they force them to do something like that, they have to reimburse them. That's it. And the idea that you wouldn't want that to be the process is bizarre to me.
And that's what the FBI did under Christopher Wray's leadership.
Trump appointee. Please go on. This never happened under Comey? Weird.
Is they covered up a crime, and it was all evidence available for everyone to see on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Do you have this said laptop? Can you show us a picture of it? Because they don't have it. Apparently, some woman who works with Rudy Giuliani says she has it.
And there was so much more information and more information coming out about the Biden crime family. But that is who the FBI is today. They're a politically weaponized organization that's funded by the taxpayers.
Okay, so you, as sitting congresswoman, are saying that if a citizen sees FBI agents arrive at their door, these are criminals, and if a criminal shows up on your property, what's your response? How should you respond if criminals are on your door in front of your doorstep? If they're on your porch or driving up your driveway? Yeah, see how this works?
Think about this for a second, folks. So we're watching Christopher Wray, who's the head of the FBI. His boss is Attorney General Merrick Garland.
Yeah, but he was appointed by Trump, so.
Also in the tank, clearly. Where are we? American people must be going, if we can't trust the FBI and the Department of Justice, who can we trust?
Yeah, no, we're not. The American people aren't. En masse, like 70% are like, yeah, they're fine, whatever. I hope they catch bad guys. I'm fine. The fringes of which Newsmax and MTG and, the outer edges of all variants of political thought in the country, they're definitely, choosing this as a dig point.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's what I hear every time I go back to my district.
Besides, fuck you. I mean, obviously.
And all across the country, people do not trust the FBI. They do not.
Or did it occur to you that you only travel in circles where they hate the FBI? Violent religious fanatics, white supremacists, Jan Sixers, people who believe that they're going to have to water the tree of liberty with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Maybe, just maybe, because I got to be honest, and chat room, perhaps you guys can back me up on this. I don't know. But do you hear the same thing everywhere you go, ever? I'm serious. If you talk to people as part of your job or whatever, do you ever, oh my gosh, what? Oh my God, hold on. We have one moment, if I may. Yes? What is happening? What did the boy do? What do you want? What are you doing? Meowing outside the door. What are you doing? What did buddy to do? What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? You beast. Look at this. Look at this guy. Look at this giant thing. I wanted a Maine Coon and I got him. What's going on? Chippers, what is you doing? What's it doing? What is it? Huh? What's a buddy? What's a buddy to do? What are you doing? What do you want? What is going on? I'm trying to do a show. I got a show to do. Oh yeah? I'll see you in a little bit. I'll get you a snack in a little bit. I've got time. You're early. I gave you a snack earlier too. Hang out. Don't get out with me. So funny. Like he's just for this. Chip does not trust the FBI. The feline body inspectors. Oh, he's such a sweetie. But all right, where was I? Oh yes, Chip was ready for his cameo. He totally was. I don't hear the same thing anywhere I travel. I hear a broad spectrum of ideas. I definitely, there's a generalization around certain things because of the folks that I hang with, or the folks that like my comedy or like my acting roles and what have you. But I have a pretty broad base, kids. As you know, for every Queer as Folk fan, you know, and Lab Rats fan, where I have a, you know, ethnically diverse family. On the other, you know, I love the 80s and Zoltan and Spider-Man, you know, 2 fans and people who like, I don't necessarily have a narrow focused career. So I talk to a lot of different people all the time, and I do just fine. And I certainly don't find that everybody says the same fucking thing. And the thing that they say is so over the top as nobody trusts the FBI. It's a criminal organization. Like if everybody you meet says that, I swear to God, I'm shocked you're not in prison when you hear it.
Trust the Department of Justice. And that is extremely sad to me.
It's your job. It's what you do all day long. You and Matt Gaetz and that whole crowd. That you have been running interference for Donald Trump the entire time. You know, you're trying to subvert his guilt around January 6th and his bullshit about the election and his history of sexual assault and the fact that he was impeached twice on purpose and in the obvious criminal activity that he was engaged in that got him impeached. You've been running interference for that so long that your only recourse, because the facts don't bear anything out, the only recourse you have is to attack the FBI, attack law enforcement, and claim that they're just making shit up or avoiding bigger crimes to come after you, because that's what this is a giant criminal defense attorney smeared like schmear over the entire GOP now in defense of Donald Trump.
As I'm sure it is to you. But that's why we have tools in Congress. We have the Holman Rule, where we can completely zero out their salaries. And we also have the powerful tool of impeachment. This is something I've talked about, and I've introduced articles of impeachment on Christopher Wray.
And by the way, that's all she does, by the way. She introduces articles of impeachment on people. It's like, yeah, introducing articles of impeachment against people, if you don't have the votes to actually make it happen, is like saying, I made a paper airplane and flew it into a volcano and to show people how serious I am.
And Merrick Garland, because I'm a business owner, Eric, and I believe in firing people. And the American people know exactly what that's like.
Huh? Yeah, but the problem is Republicans want to fire the poor.
Because it's a reality in the private sector that does not exist here in the unrealistic land of government.
Yeah, but also in business, you don't elect your boss most of the time. Like sometimes boards do or whatever, but yeah, it's different. It's different. It's not the same fucking thing, and for good reason.
I will tell you, it absolutely has to happen. There has to be a perp walk in this case, an impeachment, just so they stop doing it. I mean, where is the impeachment of Mayorkas? Where is the impeachment of Garland, which you could make a case for, or this guy Wray? You know what's concerning? You're very involved with the January 6 people who are in jail and who are awaiting justice and who've been treated to what I would say unfair justice.
Unfair justice. Well, are they treated unfairly while they're getting justice, meaning they're going to fucking jail? By the way, let's be abundantly clear. The DOJ has prosecuted a couple of the Jan 6ers in the last couple of weeks who admit to beating police officers. I posted earlier, hold on one second. I posted earlier this story of this okay. I posted a story about this fucking dude. Here you go, Eric, if I may, if that is your real name. This is the kind of people that you say are being denied justice. South Carolina man charged in Capitol riot bragged he dressed as Antifa and fought police. I'll look just like Antifa. I'll get away with anything. William Robert Norwood III is alleged to have boasted in a text message group chat before the Jan 6 riot. That's this guy right here. He wore all black under his stuff. He put this jacket and this hat on later. A South Carolina man bragged in a group text that he disguised himself as anti-fascist or Antifa activist during January 6 Capitol riot and succeeded in assaulting officers and stealing police gear. This guy is a proud maggot. There is no question. This guy's not a Fed. This guy's not Antifa. This guy was a maggot pretending to be Antifa by his own, whether he did or not, it's bullshit. But he goes, he relayed his plan in text to 4 other people on January 5th, according to screenshots of the chat included in a criminal complaint and an arrest warrant filed on Thursday. These are fun. I'm dressed all in black, Norwood wrote, according to the complaint. I'll look just like Antifa. I'll get away with anything. A day after the riots, Norwood sent an update. It worked. I got away with things that others were shot or arrested for. The cop shot a female Trump supporter, then allowed Antifa Trump supporters to assault him. I was one of them. I was there. I took his shit, Norwood continued. So the idea is that he told the story that that Ashley Babbitt was shot by a cop, and that cop allowed Trump supporters dressed as Antifa in black bloc clothing to beat the fuck out of him because for political reasons. The cops apparently will let you beat them up if you're dressed in all black. What? Right. Attached to this text was a selfie of Norwood wearing what appears to be a U.S. Capitol Police tactical vest underneath a zipped-up camouflage jacket. The FBI wrote in the complaint. According to the screenshots, Norwood wrote to the group, I got a nice helmet and body armor off a cop, for God's sake, and I disarmed him. Tell me how that works. So the idea that there were not people with guns in the Capitol, apparently this guy's saying he got a gun off a cop and then went into the Capitol. He claimed that once he changed out of Antifa garb, he was targeted by officers. I fought 4 cops and they did nothing. When I put my red hat on, they pepperballed me. Now, let's be abundantly clear. I think this guy's steamingly full of shit. I think he attacked cops or whatever, but this idea that like they were leaving him alone and they were letting themselves get their ass kicked because he wasn't wearing a red hat. They're like, as long as nobody with a red hat's kicking my ass. It's like the weird sort of just racist, bigoted, ideologically fucked mentality of this is just, I mean, it's out of the groove. It's weird. Immediately after the violence, Jan 6, baseless conspiracy theories, blah, blah, blah. Someone identified as TD, who the FBI says is Norwood's brother, reprimanded him. You admitted to going and being something you're accusing other people of being and then got mad and blamed others for the same thing you did? What the actual fuck is wrong with you? Good on you, TD. We all have relatives, I suppose, like Norwood. He's alleged to have replied, the one cop who deserved it got it. The cops who acted shit got exactly what they deserved. The ones who were cool got help. So I guess if they tried to stop you, they had to be put down. A family member of TD, identified to the FBI as JD, because that's how that whole family works, tipped off agents, saying TD told her that Norwood had done, quote, terrible things inside the Capitol, including assaulting law enforcement officers. The criminal complaint against TD then shared messages with federal agents. It said, when agents interviewed Norwood, he and his wife had traveled to Washington, D.C. to attend the rally. He admitted entering the Capitol and its rotunda after he was separated from his wife, according to the FBI. He claimed that 2 U.S. Capitol officers were waving people inside and that one of the police officers told him, "I'm on your side." He said he wanted to leave but could not because of the large crowd. He said he protected officers against being assaulted and claimed that someone else took a police vest from a pile of equipment and put the vest on him. That's the thing about Republicans. It's all about, taking responsibility. It's individual achievement. He admitted to taking a helmet from the pile and putting it on his head. What, the pile of dead officers? What do you mean? Norwood also denied assaulting law enforcement officers and claimed that any statements he made in text messages were meant to make Norwood sound tough. Criminal complaint said Norwood repeatedly claimed that he only attempted to help law enforcement, not hurt them. He faces charges of violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds. So this is one of the guys that, and I want to see if I can find something real quick. That guy's texts. Where is it? Let's see. Marjorie just said he dressed up as, that's the insider part. Let's see if they got the, yeah, okay. So here's this guy's, the affidavit against him, that they filed. And these are the photos that his, family, either they showed to agents and agents took these pictures of what he said. This is that, like the vest and the helmet that he took. He said, "It worked. I got away with things that others were shot or arrested for." At 9:12 a.m., he tells the group, the cop shot a female Trump supporter, then allowed Antifa Trump supporters to assault him. I was one of them. I was there. I took his shit. Which, by the way, we know is bullshit because the rest of them didn't come through. And maybe he attacked the other cops that went down the stairs. Is that what he's going to basically say? Norwood then sends a selfie photo of himself wearing what appears to be a U.S. Capitol Police tactical vest. Let's see. In the text thread, it says, you admitted to going... this is the back and forth with his relatives that we were just showing. Based on Affiant's training experience, the image of the vest worn by Norwood in photos 3 and 4 is consistent with vests worn by U.S. Capitol Police on January 6th. That's him. There he is. That's him sending those messages more than likely. There he is again. There he is running around talking to people. There's him calling people. This is, by the way, why there were so many people on the case. Let's see. Shortly after approximately 2:20 p.m., members of the United States during national, let's see. Following attack on the Capitol, your affiant received and reviewed a large volume of tips submitted. January 1921, FBI interviewed JD, who informed the agents that JD was at dinner with TD when TD began sharing how TD's brother had claimed to do terrible things inside the Capitol. Later that day, FBI special agents conducted a follow-up interview with TD. TD provided a telephone number for Norwood, which is right there. Which they shouldn't do, but whatever. They didn't redact that, interestingly enough. Also presented the interviewing agents with multiple text messages, which the agents then photographed and provided to your affiant for review. And he's just a dick. Just like a complete stooge. And what Eric Bolling wants you to know / think is that guy who engaged in violence ended up somehow taking a cop's body armor and helmet and gun, according to him. We don't know where that gun went, if he still had it or if he ditched it or if he's got it at home or they're just counting it as missing. More than likely, it never happened. I think he's full of shit. But if he took it, who's to say he doesn't still have it? Or that he didn't give it to somebody else? But what Eric Bolling wants you to remember is that that guy is the innocent victim in this. And the police officers who tried to stop guys like him are the villains in this. And that's what she thinks too.
You probably would agree with that. The conversation that they had with Wray about having confidential human sources, that's what the FBI is calling them. They had confidential human sources all surrounding January 6th at the Capitol. Why would they have that?
You're kidding, right? Because they had people in the Proud Boys and they had people in these domestic terror groups that were informing on their fellows in those groups because they were worried they were going to cross a line. Look at all the cases. Eric Bolling's been on this, so is she. They could both look at the indictments. They can read what happened to these fucking people. They weren't directing the fucking thing. They weren't telling people to attack. But people inside those groups were like, holy shit, my friend is attacking police officers. What the shit?
Well, they target conservatives. They target Trump supporters. And the proof is they...
How did they... yes, they targeted Trump supporters in the same way that NATO is targeting Russians. They just stand there and wait for them to attack in a shocking ploy to use self-defense as a weapon.
On the way the FBI targeted, let's say, Catholics attending Latin Mass, putting agents inside a Latin Mass, but yet not going after Jane's Revenge, the radical group that was firebombing pregnancy resource centers. This is who the FBI is, and that's why they...
Well, they have. Okay.
Have to be held accountable. But I want to answer to the frustration that people feel at home, because I think that's the right thing to do. We only have 222 Republicans here in the House.
Oh, yes. Used to have 221. Yep. One guy's leaving.
House of Representatives, and it takes 218 votes, yes votes, to pass anything. And so it's very hard for us to get there.
Boo. So you can only lose what you and Ghosts are? By the way, she's not voting for the National Defense Authorization Act. You know how they were going to break up all the bills and the omnibus into separate bills? Yeah, she's voting. She's pulling a Tuberville on the NDAA. Yeah.
But I think that this is exactly what Congress needed to see today, is the arrogance of Christopher Wray and his flat-out refusal to do the job fairly, and how hard he works to protect and cover up
Donald Trump,
the crimes of his boss, Joe Biden. But that spreads across the board, not only Christopher Wray.
How does he cover up shit that's supposedly on the laptop material that's been out for 2 years? How? You have all the evidence, allegedly. You have all of it. He doesn't have any more than that. As a matter of fact, he is arguably less than that, because a bunch of that shit is fabricated and he can't touch the laptop, because if he does, and it's the predicate for any other element of his case against Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or James Biden or Shemp Biden or Zeppo Biden or anybody, any of the Bidens that are all hairy like apes. If he uses any of the stuff that's allegedly from the laptop, everything else will get thrown out because fruit of the poison tree. Are you stupid?
Spreads to Merrick Garland. It spreads to Secretary Mayorkas. It goes all across the Biden administration. This is an administration that believes in weaponizing the government against their political opponents, not just their political opponent, Donald Trump, but the American people as well. And
yes, their political opponents are the American people in general, including their own voters. That's how it works.
So this is a dangerous time that we live in, but I want people at home to understand that there's a lot of us here that are working very hard.
Yes, not smart, but we can see that you find things, normal stuff, difficult. We can tell.
To bring accountability to this administration.
Thank goodness for the handful of people like you, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, not those fucking Marjorie Taylor. The rhinos. They're worse than the Democrats.
For keeping up the good fight and really holding their feet to the fire.
Oh, yeah. It's two of my favorite phrases. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for being a complete dick. Yes, nothing's better than a torture analogy. especially when you point it to, you use it against people who are allegedly on your side. And yeah.
Because if we don't, all bets are off. The place is lost. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congresswoman, thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Eric, oh my God. How does it feel to be the second dumbest Eric? It must be a lot. But you know what? If you apply yourself and you try hard,